Hey, it's Rick with Rock Bottom Outreach. It's Real Talk Tuesday. I spent Monday afternoon, just listening, being still, saying, God, what do you have for me to share on Tuesday? I had nothing. Zip, zero. But all of a sudden, Monday night, I'm going through social media, and I see a story, and it talks about rescuers hear mysterious voice and save a toddler. And I'm like, okay, I'll bite. And I figured it was one of those little stories that you click on it on Facebook and it takes you to some advertisement. And that's not the deal. It took you to a real story. Well, here's the gist of the story. Friday night, a girl named Jenny Grossbeck was driving home from her parents in Utah, had a toddler in the back seat. Apparently about 10 p.m., maybe lost control of the car, went off the road, down into the river upside down. Some witnesses said they heard a noise but didn't see anything, so obviously at the time no one went looking for them. 13 hours passed, and by then it was sunlight, and apparently someone saw this car down there. Well, rescuers went down there looking, and the car was upside down that they could see an individual in the front seat. And as the river was rushing by, the closer they got, the gentleman said they heard a voice that said, "Help, we're in here." And even the men say that based on that communication from the car, you know, they responded and said, "Hey, hang in there, we're on the way." And they began to take turns working to get into the car. Fast forward, after a little bit of time, they're able to get into the car. And what do they find? They find the mom is upside down and she was dead on the scene. And in a toddler seat hanging upside down is an 18-month-old toddler. I believe a little girl is what it was. The little girl was unconscious at the time. She was high enough out of the water that she did not drown. And anyway, the little girl is in critical condition, but the little girl is alive. The amazing part of the story is there was no one else in that car. And the four men that saved this little girl, they still say that they're not men that are very religious, but they will swear up and down that they heard a voice of a woman. And the voice of that woman encouraged them to continue to work in getting into that car because they knew somebody was alive in that car. Man, if that doesn't encourage you, I don't know what will. And the reason I share that is I think, especially as parents, a lot of times we worry about our kids when they're off alone. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, but I know myself when my boys had to leave their home in 2008, you know, I always wondered, you know, were they afraid? I mean, what were their emotions like? And it wasn't later till I was reading a book, 90 Minutes in Heaven, and it's a story about a gentleman that was in a car wreck, and he had an angelic experience, and he says that someone touched his hand. And the reason I'm sharing that is I had the same experience in 2008. I was laying in bed. I felt someone take me by the right hand. I heard a voice say, "Rick, it's going to be okay." And I woke up thinking it was a dream. And to this day, I know that someone held me by the right hand. And I tell you that because it does line up with biblical principle. I mean, the Bible's clear about that. And that's what I want to share today. Maybe you've experienced something like that and you never told anyone because you're afraid they're going to think that you're crazy. Man, you're not crazy. Angels are real. David Jeremiah does a whole study on angels, but ironically, and you should never ever forget the verse I'm going to tell you, but it's Psalms 91:11, almost like 911. Psalms 91:11 says, "For he, being God, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Man, that is just, I mean, that's exciting to hear, knowing that God can give command over his angels to help you in your way. I know when God affirmed to me that I was not alone, and I think about my children, it gives me great peace knowing that regardless what you're going through or your loved one, man, you're never alone. But I want you to do this. I want you to go read this story for yourself from this past weekend. Her name's Jenny Grossbeck, Groesbeck, I believe is how it's spelled. And the accident happened in Utah. The wreck was on Friday night. But read it for yourself, and I'd love to hear what you think. Hey, it's Rick with Rock Bottom Outreach. It's been Real Talk Tuesday. Bam!